Okay, it is 7 o'clock on the dot, and we are going to get started. So, I have a lot of information to tell you tonight. And so, first of all, I'd just like to say thanks so much for being here. I am just super excited to share this information with you tonight. But before we get started, I have a couple housekeeping announcements. Um, Last time I did this training, I thought I could get you on the line afterward, but I cannot. So there is no way to get your voice on there. So if you have any questions, type them into the chat box, and after the training, I will pull that up and see if I can answer any of those questions for you. The lines are muted, so I will not be able to hear anybody or take any questions right now. And I just want you to know, I could speak for hours about this book that I'm going to talk about tonight. Every page on it, there's just a little gem, and I just love it. But since I do value your time being here tonight, I'm going to keep this to just about 45 minutes total. So let me start by introducing myself, because there are people here who may not know me. So my name's Jean Kuhn. I am a speaker, an author. Here's the cover of my book, F-Ups. Small R stands for Franchisee Screw-Ups. I'm a small business owner, wife, mother of 3 adult children, and I have 2 rescue dogs that I'm absolutely crazy about. I have been a student of personal development for about the past 29 years. Excuse me. And if there was such a thing as a PhD in personal development, I am pretty sure I would qualify for one of those. I have also been a serious student of the law of attraction for the past 5 or so years. I have been an entrepreneur for the past 29 years, since the day my oldest son was born, and I knew the moment they put him in my arms, I was not going back to work in an office. But I also knew that we needed a second income. Today, I want to share with you all of the really good stuff inside this little book by Earl Nightingale called The Strangest Secret. This book was written in 1956, but I think it's even more relevant today than it was then. Today, we are so distracted by so many things like email, Facebook, jobs, kids, home, television, etc. In 1956, I'm pretty sure the mail never distracted anyone. There were no computers, no cell phones, no internet, no video games. Most moms didn't even work outside the home, and there was probably only one television in the house at that time. So it seems to me it was a lot easier to focus 58 years ago than it is today. Today we are bombarded with things, all of which distract us from accomplishing the goals we really want to get done. And heck, some of us are even distracted from setting goals. I've been reading books like this for about the past 30 years, and I want to tell you why this book is so meaningful to me. In the summer of 2011, a friend of mine sent my then 19-year-old son a copy of The Strangest Secret. And like I said before, I've been reading books like this for a long time, but I had never stumbled across this book. I picked it up and I started reading it, and I thought, wow, this is a really great book. And then I set it aside and I forgot about it. In March of 2012, I told my now 20-year-old son that he was no longer welcome to live in our home due to his bad behavior. And as I was packing up his room so he could pick up his stuff, I came across the book. I also knew the book came with a CD, and I felt like if I was just listening to the CD while I was packing his stuff, it would just make me feel better about the decision I had made. It was apparent from his bad behavior he wasn't using the book or the CD, except I couldn't find the CD. So I went to iTunes, and bingo, they had it for $3. So I downloaded it, and I listened, and I listened, and I listened again, and I cried, and I listened, and I cried, and I listened. And I knew there was something really special about this little book. While this book gives a very clear-cut, simple to follow directions on how to be a success in life, that isn't why I listened over and over and over. Over the last 29 years, when I'm struggling, I always turn to personal development material to help me. I find it extremely comforting. And I was struggling between making my youngest son leave home because of his messing around with drugs, hanging out with the wrong kids, and his completely disrespectful treatment of his parents and his home. I just could not take it any longer. But as his mom, I wanted nothing more than to just grab that kid and hug him and never let him leave. I am happy to say that 2 years later, it was the best decision I ever made. He's completely turned his life around. So on about the 15th or 16th time listening to this audio, and it's only 37 minutes long, it occurred to me that most people would read this book or listen to the audio one time and then set it aside and never do anything else with it. But this book is chock full of great content that can really help you achieve your goals if you only apply the principles in the book. If you stick with me to the end, I promise I'm going to show you how to do that. So let me ask you, does any of this sound familiar? And if you've listened to anything or you read the video underneath the video, that when you opted in, it probably all sounds familiar. But if you have a great product or service, but you just aren't making the type of money you believe you should be. You've done all the training. You have a positive attitude, and yet you're still in the middle of the pack instead of the leader. Or how about this? You just aren't one of the lucky people. You know, the ones who have it all, or they just everything seems to go right with them all the time. If for any reason any of this resonates with you, then this call is exactly where you should be tonight. This book opens up with a statistic that I find really interesting. Earl Nightingale says in this book, if you take 100 individuals who start even at the age of 25, do you have any idea where I'm going to start over because obviously I can't read. I'm just going to read this slide here. If you take 100 individuals who start even at the age of 25, do you have any idea what will happen to those men and women by the time they're 65? These 100 people who all start even at the age of 25 believe they're going to be successful. If you asked any of these people if they wanted to be a success, they would tell you that they did. But by the time they're 65, only 1 will be rich, 4 will be financially independent, 5 will still be working, and 54 will be broke. So of 100, only 5 make the grade. And I would bet in today's world that statistic is high. I would bet it's probably more like 3 out of 100 now are making the grade. So why do so many fail at becoming financially stable? Earl tells us in his book that the reason so many fail is because they're not working toward a worthy ideal. That's how he defines success, the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. But today, most of us have so many things we're working on at one time, we can't focus long enough to complete one goal, even the little goals. So most people don't even bother to set goals. They just trudge through life doing what they believe is their very best every single day, hoping to win the lottery. I wish I had $1 for every time my sister posts on Facebook that she hopes to win the lottery. By the way, wishing for something is never the way to achieve it. I'm going to be quoting from this little 86-page book, mostly because I can't improve on Earl Nightingale. However, if you stick with me till the end, I'm going to show you how I did improve on Earl's idea and how I make it super simple for you to use the strangest little secret he talks about to start getting the success that you want from your life and your business. In the book, this is a quote from the book. So it says, in the book, Man's Search for Himself, Rollo May wrote, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it's conformity. People acting like everyone else without knowing why or where they're going. This quote describes so many things going on in the world today. Look at most people. They're probably doing just what their parents did when they were a kid. They get up, they go to a job, maybe they don't even like that job, come home, eat dinner, watch TV, and go to bed, just so they can get up and do it all again tomorrow. And what about the world of business? Everyone thinks they have a better mousetrap, but they market it and sell it the same as their competition. The people who become extremely wealthy are the ones who don't settle for a better mousetrap. They create and they innovate like Steve Jobs did with the iPod and then the iPhone and finally the iPad. Like Dave Ramsey. Dave has made millions by teaching people how to get out of debt like he did when he went from multimillionaire to bankrupt at age 26. Most people who go bankrupt are just broken, they're beat up, and 95 out of 100 have just given up. This book tells us that we live in one of the richest lands, and yet we haven't learned to become financially independent. The trouble is we're acting like the wrong percentage group, the 95% who don't succeed. Why? Because we conform. And the trouble is that we're acting like the wrong percentage group, just like the book says. We get up and we do the same thing over and over and over again and don't see a way out of the vicious circle that we found ourselves in. I know a woman in her early 50s who filed bankruptcy. She works extremely hard. She puts in 60 to 80 hours a week trying to fight her way back. Work is her life. She is conforming. She is so exhausted from working so many hours a week that on the weekend she catches up on her sleep just so she can get up and do it all again the next week. Friends, this is no way to live. Debt is another way we conform. We as a society want what we want when we want it, and we are happy to go into debt to get it. Excuse me. I just had dinner. Excuse me. Then we are just like the next guy. We have so many bills, credit card loans, car payments, Best Buy financed electronics, and you're just working to pay the interest on all of those loans. And it's taking years and years and years to pay off the debt. But we all know we really never pay it off because we keep adding to it. Because again, it's just a vicious cycle. How many people do you know who conform like this? I love Dave Ramsey saying, live today like no one else, so tomorrow you can live like no one else. Meaning sacrifice and become debt-free, accumulate wealth, and tomorrow you can have everything and get it without debt. I've tried to teach this to my kids. Only one listened. My daughter's a registered nurse who graduated college 2 years ago. She left college with $30,000 in student loans. While her friends were excitedly moving into their own apartments, she continued to live at home and live like a poor college student for the next 12 months while she paid off her student loans, the entire $30,000. The sense of pride and accomplishment that she had afterwards surprised me. You could sense that she felt like she could really accomplish anything she set her mind to now. 5 months later, she bought herself a brand new 2014 Camry and paid cash for it. She sacrificed by living with her parents for another year when her friends were all living on their own. She became debt-free. She saved until she could pay cash for a car. And this past 2 weeks ago, actually, she moved into her very own apartment closer to the hospital that she works at. She's set up a private retirement IRA and an investment account. Folks, she just turned 24 years old. I wish I knew at her age what I know now. So you're probably wondering, is she ever going to tell us what the strangest secret is? And the answer is yes. I'm going to tell you right now. Drum roll, please. We become what we think about. It's really that simple. Earl Nightingale said it twice, so I think I'll say it twice, just to drive the point home. We become what we think about. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, a man is what he thinks about all day long. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, said, a man's life is what his thoughts make of it. William James said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." I don't know if there's one more here or not. Let's see. One more here. Shakespeare said, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." While this concept, we become what we think about, may seem so incredibly simple, it actually does take some real effort to achieve this. If it were as simple as it sounds, everybody would be rich because everybody's sitting out there thinking, "I wish I could win the lottery." I want to be very clear right now. I just want to say this one more time. You cannot think yourself rich. You might be thinking, "Well, why not? You just said we become what we think about, and I've been thinking I want to be rich." Well, the answer is pretty simple. See if you agree. Let's continue on with the theme of being rich. The moment you start to want to be rich, almost immediately your subconscious mind starts whispering things to you like, "You can't be rich. That'll never happen. You've never been rich. Remember when your mom said you'll never amount to anything? Or how about when your sister told you you were too stupid to do anything? Why all of a sudden do you think you can be rich? Do you think all those other people were lying to you?" Most times we aren't even aware of all the awful things our self-talk says to us. You kind of tune it out, but it's still there and your conscious mind hears it. So if we become what we think about, and we have one thought about being rich and 24,000 thoughts about how it's impossible, what do you think happens? We don't become rich. And the same thing happens to my sister when she says, "Everything would be great if I could just win the lottery." Her subconscious mind starts saying things like, "Only people who don't need the money win," or "I'll never win." But it's fun to think about. Now, I'm not saying you can win the lottery, but I am saying you can change the way you think every single day, because until you do, you're destined to stay exactly where you're at, getting exactly what you've been given in life up until now. There's a saying that says where you're at right now is because that's where you want to be at. And I really, truly believe that. So in order to get out of where you're at right now, you need to start changing the way you think every single day. Let's see here what we have. Let's talk a little bit more about a quote here from Earl Nightingale. He says, "Suppose a farmer has some land, and it's good, fertile land, not goo fertile land. The land gives the farmer a choice. He may plant in that land whatever he chooses. The land doesn't care. It's up to the farmer to make the decision." Now, we're comparing the human mind with the land because the mind, like the land, doesn't care what you plant in it. It will return what you plant, but it does not care what you plant. Now, let's say that the farmer has two seeds in his hand. One is a seed of corn, and the other is a seed of nightshade, a deadly poison. He digs two little holes in the earth, and he plants both seeds, one corn, the other nightshade. He covers up the holes, waters, and takes care of the land. And what will happen? Invariably, the land will return what is planted. As it's written in the Bible, "As ye sow, so shall ye reap." Remember, the land doesn't care. It will return poison in just as wonderful abundance as it will corn. So up come the two plants, one corn, one poison. But the human mind is far more fertile, far more incredible and mysterious than the land. But it works the exact same way. It doesn't care what we plant in our brain, success or failure, a concrete, worthwhile goal, or confusion, misunderstanding, fear, anxiety, conformity, and so on. But what we plant in our brain must be returned to us. I was trying to think of a story that would relate to this analogy of our minds being fertile soil, and it occurred to me that our entire government runs this way. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, both sides do it. They get people to vote for them by planting poison in their minds. They earn their votes by putting fear in the hearts of the people. And that poison causes a division over things like race and money and jobs. And pretty soon our country is at war with each other so that we don't see what's actually going on. The government is taking control of our wealth, our freedoms, and our liberties because they have used a fear as a scare tactic. In 1932, Democrat Franklin D. Roosevelt became our 32nd president by a landslide. He had one major goal, and it was to stop the stampede of fear among the American people and get them talking about business recovery instead of depression. In the first few days of becoming president, FDR was asked what was the major problem facing him, and he replied, "It's not a question of majors or minors. We have but one problem, and that is to stop fear and supplant it with faith." And by the end of his first year in office, he had done just that. FDR had planted in his mind exactly what he wanted to grow, and he was successfully planting those same thoughts into the minds of the American people. How awesome would our country be if all of our elected officials did the exact same thing? This concept of choosing our thoughts daily was first revealed by some of the earliest wise men, and it appears again and again throughout the Bible. But very few people have learned it or understand it. That's why it's strange, and why for some equally strange reason it remains virtually a secret. My very favorite quote in the book is the slide that's up now, and it says, "People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them." Can you think of an instance where you couldn't find something you wanted, so you made it? If you can, put a note in the chat box right now, and then we'll discuss that afterwards. This quote struck such a chord with me because I realized I have been doing exactly this same thing for the last 30 years. 30 years ago, there was no such thing as a telecommuter. But when I said I was not coming back to work after my maternity leave, I became a telecommuter when the company didn't want to lose me. We didn't even own a computer 30 years ago because most people didn't. When I was in direct sales, I was looking for a way to market my business. No one else was doing customer appreciation events for home party plan companies, so I started my own. As a franchise owner, my franchise company holds a conference every 2 years. That is not enough for me, so I started an annual conference for my fellow franchisees. This quote, for me, sums up the entire book. You set a goal, and if you can't find what you need to help yourself hit the goal, you create it. Just for snicks, I thought I would share how I define success before I tell you how Earl Nightingale defines it. So this is my definition of success. Live your dream as long as taxpayers don't have to support you. Laugh at yourself daily because God made you funny looking. Love everyone unless you have to pay to love them. Relax because unless you're an oncologist, you are not curing cancer. And be grateful because without gratitude, you can't be a success. I think you'll find the similarities between mine and Earl Nightingale's. Remember his definition of success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. This book here gives us 4 steps to start working toward our worthy ideal, which is how Earl Nightingale defines it. So here, I told you I was going to give you 4 steps, so here we go. Step number 1. We must understand emotionally and intellectually that we literally become what we think about, that we must control our thoughts if we're going to control our minds. We have to basically trick our brain into believing that we already have what we want. During my How to Think Like a Millionaire in 30 Days program, we work on tricking our brain in a couple of ways. We do this by writing and talking as if we've already achieved our goal. We plant good thoughts into our minds, and we take care of that fertile brain soil for 30 days. After 30 days, if you've done a really good job at tending your crop that you're growing in your brain, you'll have created a whole new way of seeing things and manifesting what you're looking for. Step 2, we must let go of the invisible chains around our minds and allow it to think freely about the possibilities of what if in all kinds of situations. This does not come to you automatically when you decide you want to accomplish this. I just had a thought about what if. How many times have you you know somebody who has a problem, and you said to them, you gave them an answer. You gave have you thought about trying it this way? And what do they invariably say? I tried that and it didn't work. Well, what if that's what I'm talking about? What if? What if you tried it one more time? What if you tried it and you tweaked it a little bit? What if, what if, what if? In order to change your thinking on a pretty consistent basis, you have to do it every single day for 30 days until it becomes a habit. And let me tell you, with the other 60,000 thoughts a day that are popping into your head, it's damn near impossible. Step 3, you must use all of the courage and strength you have to force yourself to think positively about your goal and your problems. You must refuse to believe that there are any circumstances strong enough to hold you back from your goal. While the idea behind living prosperously is extremely easy to understand, it is really difficult to implement. And it's not just thinking positively about your goals and problems. You actually have to think of and take daily action steps. And most people spend more time planning their vacation than they do about how to accomplish a goal that they've set for themselves. And this is because they've fallen into that place of conformity. In my program, How to Think Like a Millionaire in 30 Days, I give you exercises every single day for 30 straight days, helping you change your thoughts. Changing your daily thoughts is essential to achieving the success you desire. Step 4, save 10% of every dollar you earn. Well, that's just good common sense. Remember, debt's a form of conformity. We want to start building wealth along with becoming debt-free. Earl Nightingale tells us that we can prove to ourselves that these 4 steps will change our life by doing a 30-day test. Remember when I started this training that I said I downloaded it and I listened and I listened and I listened and I cried and I listened and I cried, and I knew that there was something special about this book? I also knew, well, I guess it maybe when the tears were flowing, it occurred to me that this book is chock full of such great content that can really help people achieve their goals if they would only apply the principles to the book. And I really started thinking about that, and I allowed my mind to wander to all of the what-if situations. And then I had a light bulb moment. I knew exactly how to give this 58-year-old book a piece that's missing so more people could get the results that they're after. The How to Think Like a Millionaire in 30 Days. The first time I taught this program, I had a woman in my group from Oklahoma. Though through a series of unfortunate circumstances, she found herself with loans to pay back from a business she did not even own anymore. Her current business was taking a huge financial hit every single month, paying for a business that she had sold 2 months before. Did you get that? She had sold the business 2 months before, and now because of circumstances that had happened, she was required to pay a debt. She was legally bound to pay debts from the person who now owned her store was supposed to be paying. She got up every single morning wondering how she was going to repay this debt. It came to $6,000 every single month. She checked her online bank balance every day and worried more and more when she saw how little money was there, and most days there was a negative balance. Her fear was keeping her from really doing anything in her business to increase her business. She just felt if she worked a little harder and a little longer, she could keep her payroll down and hopefully gain a little momentum. And she was 100% wrong. While she was working, her fear kept her from being productive. She was working hard, and that's not the issue, but not on anything that was going to help her business. She was stuck, and it all started with fear. And it made me think back to when FDR took office. He knew that the American people were stuck, and he knew that in order to get the American people on board again, he had to alleviate that fear. Earl says, worry brings fear, and fear is crippling. The only thing that can cause you to worry during your test is trying to do it all yourself. Know that all you have to do is hold your goal before you. Everything else will take care of itself. What this means is that you don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just have to believe that it's going to happen. When the woman from Oklahoma joined my How to Think Like a Millionaire program, her goal was to attract an additional $6,000 in 30 days to pay the loans for her business, for her old business, I'm sorry. Now, why do I say attract? Well, because the strangest secret, as Earl Nightingale refers to it, is actually what we now call the law of attraction. When you change your thoughts daily, when you are consciously aware every minute of every day what you're thinking about, when you are completely focused on attaining your goal, and you start taking different action steps at the same time, you start seeing new opportunities or people, and yes, even money starts coming to you. It's along the lines of when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's exactly what happens. When the student is ready, they attract the right teacher for them. The hardest part of letting go of the worry and the doubt are whether or not it will really happen. Because your self-talk is really mean, and it's going to say awful things to you. When I think back to my time during doing home party sales 30 years ago, I had 5 months to sell enough product to earn a trip to Hawaii. I realize now that I never once thought I could not do that. I was super excited about going to Hawaii and how I was going to buy my husband's trip. And while I took this opportunity because we needed the money, I never once thought about all the money I made. I was completely, solely focused on Hawaii. At this point, we had only been married 5 years, and so money, I'm sorry, I'm going to start that again. At this point, we'd only been married 5 years. We'd never had a honeymoon, and we had a baby now. And the one thing I really wanted was a vacation. I earned 2 trips to Hawaii in those 5 months. So on top of the money that I made, I didn't even have to pay for my husband's trip. I was able to take him to Hawaii for free. 30 years ago, I didn't know that the power I was using in my business and every business since then was the law of attraction. I'd never even heard of the law of attraction until the book The Secret came out, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And over the last 30 years, I have seen so many small business people struggle, lose their homes and their businesses, and I knew I could help them if they could just buy into thinking the way that I think. I know now I've been thinking like a millionaire pretty much my entire life. All the way back to when my parents would take us camping, and we would leave our small little house and we would stuff 5 people into a little tiny pull-behind camper and set it up. And I would wait for my real parents, the king and the queen, to come and find me. All the way back then, when I was 9 or 10 years old, I now know I was already thinking like a millionaire. And I can help you think like a millionaire too. While the book The Strangest Secret is awesome, if you know you don't already think like a millionaire, to think that you can start thinking differently tomorrow, well, it's simply not possible. You can do well at the most for a couple hours, and then your old thoughts start to creep right back in. Now let me tell you how my client from Oklahoma ended her 30 days. When she changed her mind, she seriously changed her life. she ended up not attracting the $6,000 that she needed. During the 30 days, she had upped her retail sales a couple $1,000s. That was profit. That was before expenses, so that was just not even all profit, the couple $1,000s that she increased her sales. On day 26, she got an unexpected refund check from her health insurance company, of all places, for $1,700. I don't know about you guys, but I've been married 34 years, and not one time have we ever gotten a refund on our health insurance. And it was the first time she'd ever gotten a refund check on her health insurance, too. And at this point, she was still having some doubts and fears because she had a letter from an attorney sitting on the counter for a few days, and she was afraid to open it because she just assumed it was someone else suing them for money that they owed from a business they no longer had. On day 29, she finally opened the letter from the attorney, who was representing an oil and power company, and they were interested in leasing the mineral rights to some property that they owned in Oklahoma. And they were offering her $650 per acre, and they wanted to lease the mineral rights to 80 acres. She ended up with a total of $52,000 just from that deal alone. And it was the first time in over 35 years of marriage that they had ever been given an offer like that. She ended up with over $60,000. And I'll tell you, even I was amazed by her results. How to Think Like a Millionaire is a powerful program, and I would like to offer you the opportunity today to start thinking like a millionaire and start getting the success that you desire. I'd like to show you what's included in the course. In my How to Think Like a Millionaire program, How to Think Like a Millionaire in 30 Days program, I meet with you once privately, and you get to pick whatever goal you'd like to work on, just like my client from Oklahoma did. Starting on day 1, you'll receive a daily email with me with a small quote or a lesson and a question. You type your answer up and you send it back to me to look over. I want to make sure that you're right on track with your words and your thoughts, because right now your words mean everything. When you tell yourself, I no longer want to be poor, I no longer want to struggle, I will make you change those words immediately, because what the universe hears is, oh, so-and-so wants to be poor, so-and-so wants to struggle, no problem, let me give them some more of that. But when you change your words from I no longer want to struggle to I want to be successful, that's a whole different mindset that you have. Like I said before, most people won't spend an hour a day. I guess I didn't say that before, but most people won't spend an hour a day to improve their business or their life. But I don't think you're like most people. You showed up here, and maybe you're just listening to the replay. Once a week, we meet on the phone for 5 weeks as a group for a quick lesson and to discuss our successes and our challenges. And let me just tell you, there will be challenges. It's so helpful doing this work with other people so you can see you're not the only one who's struggling. But the cool thing about that is sometimes you'll be the one person that has an answer to somebody else's struggle. I wanted to tell you something there, and I just lost my train of thought, what I wanted to tell you. Oh, I wanted to tell you that it was really funny when I put some people through this the last time, that they all skipped the exact same homework assignment, the question. Not one of them answered it. So that tells me that there's some real issues there. That was like a huge breakthrough once I made them all answer the question and we discussed it as a group since nobody answered it. And that was the first time that had ever happened. But it was something all of them were going through, and it was it was just so amazing to see them all come out on the other side with such a great experience with that. It was just like they were stuck in this one spot, and boom, we opened that right up. We also have a private Facebook group where you can discuss and support each other throughout the week and in between the calls. Now, How much does all of this business coaching with the law of attraction thrown in cost? I bet you're asking yourself. Well, my regular price is $297 for a 30-day program. Now, what's it worth? Well, you tell me. My client in Oklahoma found the program to be worth $60,000 to her. But wait, there's more. Right now, because you're on this webinar, I am offering a $50 discount. If you would like to be part of this program and take it, you can take this program for $247 because you bothered to show up here today and listen to me give you some information about the strangest secret. Now, in order to take advantage of that bonus, you have to register for the program by Saturday, September 6th. Now, I also have another bonus offer, which is the free recording to The Strangest Secret. You need the CD or the iTunes or something to listen to that. That's part of the program. Repetitive listening. Remember when I said I listened and I listened and I listened and I listened, and it was on the 15th or 16th time that ideas started coming to me? That's exactly what will happen to you too. The more you listen, ideas will start to bubble up in your mind and on problems that you're having. So the total cost for this life-changing program is only $197, and I want to see if I can change this here and show you that. Let's see, do this, and just, I don't know if that worked. Oops, do this. Hold on one second. I don't know why the pop-in is not working. So let's try one more thing here. Let me see if I can take you here. Hold on one second. Don't go anywhere. I don't know why that did not work. Dash DYS. Let's see if we can display that now. All right. Okay, well, you know what? That's funny because, maybe let me try it this way. That's so funny. I had it working before this webinar started, and I can't get it to work now. But I will give you the website, and I'll actually send it to you also. And it's Jean Kuhn, JeanKuhn, jeankuhn.com/30-days, DAYS. jeankuhn.com/30-days, and that will take you right over to the sales page, which I wanted to show you. Oh, let me see here. Maybe I'll pop in. See if one more time I'll try it. That's so funny. Not able to pop it. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. If you can see it now on your screen, let me see if I can scroll it down here. So if you click on sign up today, I believe that will take you right over to the page. And if it doesn't, then please feel free to just use the website that I gave you. Now, I want to go back up here and see if there were any questions, that if you guys had any questions here. Okay, so one of the questions was, I can't make the first call. Well, that's no problem because every call is recorded and every call is sent out to everybody in the group so that they can, because sometimes during the discussion a great idea comes up and we want to make sure that we get those on tape because nobody's going to remember those. So I always record every call and then we send it back out. Here's another one. How many people will be in the group? The group is small. I keep the group to between 10 and 25 because I am looking over your daily assignment every single day, and so that's not monopolizing my entire week. I keep the group small, and so I can help the most, people get the most out of this 30-day program. You get an awful lot of my time in this program. How much time does it take to participate? Excellent question. It will take you roughly an hour a day to participate in this. And that's what I was talking about before. Some people will not even spend an hour a day to work on, making their business or their life better. But if you're willing to put forth an hour a day on whatever one thing you want to choose, that you're going to choose to get out of this program, oh my gosh, can you even imagine in 30 days how great that will be and how far along you will be? Because here's the thing, people. 30 days, this starts September 9th. October 9th is going to come whether you do this program or not. Imagine how much farther along you'll be come October 9th. It's super exciting for me. For the people who've signed up already, I did this training last week. We had some people sign up for... I'm just super excited about this because I know that this is life-changing information. So I'm gonna look one more time here to see if there's any other questions here. So if you have one, just type it into the chat box. It says it's displayed publicly there now. And we'll wait just a second to make sure that nobody has any extra questions. So let me end here with what Earl Nightingale said. I'm just going to spend a few minutes here, well, it's just a couple minutes, reading the page how he ends his book. And then I'll look back and see if there's another question. But he says, take the 30-day test. It will be more a part of you until you'll wonder how you could have ever lived any other way. Live this new way, and the floodgates of abundance will open and pour over you riches, more riches than you may have ever dreamed existed. Money, yes, lots of it. But what's more important, you'll have peace. You'll have that wonderful minority. You'll be in that wonderful minority who leads calm, cheerful, successful lives. Start today. You have nothing to lose, but you have a whole life to win. So I don't see any other questions. We are at the end of our 45 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. And please, I will send out that link to you guys in just a couple minutes to everybody who's in the group. So thanks so much. Have a great night. I hope you've learned from The Strangest Secret. Good night.